Oh man, that is auto tragic. That transmission is toast, and the replacement ain't cheap. Now I know not everyone is out there racing every weekend, but I'm gonna bet that many of you drive cars with automatic transmissions, and you'd love to make sure that you don't blow it up. Because guess what? You can. So, this is the video for you. I'm gonna come at you with 9, yes, count them, 9 things you should never do in an automatic to make it last. And number 7, I know you're guilty of. So, buckle up and let's go. But when you go, do it in a sane way, unless your car has a real launch control. Don't just drop from neutral to drive. It may seem like a cool way to launch. Yes, I know. You put it in neutral, build the revs up, shove it into drive right as the light changes. Then, boom! Your torque converter explodes and you get to call AAA. You have AAA, right? So most people don't really know how transmissions actually work. They are scary and complicated, like my love life. It's important to know that an automatic transmission is not like a robot that just shifts a manual transmission for you. They are totally different and have valved bodies and planetary gears instead of normal gears, and a standard clutch. If you suddenly slam it into gear, you aren't just releasing the clutch. You are suddenly engaging a bunch of components and putting a ton of stress on them. Then they go snappy, snappy. Speaking of snapping parts, hey, don't just go from drive to reverse while moving. And I know you're guilty of this. Or from reverse straight to drive. Always come to a stop first. Why? Well, go find something spinning, like a ceiling fan. And imagine grabbing a blade and trying to throw it in the other direction. Sounds awful, right? So why would you do that to your poor transmission? You got all this stuff just spinning around, and that spinning mass has inertia. Something in motion stays in motion, or at least it wants to. And if you try to suddenly alter that, well, things will break. So always come to a stop first. Let all that inertia settle down, then change direction. Also, don't put it in park unless you're stopped. This is more of the same. Rotating mass. Can't change direction easily, things break, etc. It's just like me when I get in the zone and nothing can take me out of it. YouTube girlfriend will be like, dinner's ready, and I can't hear her because I am in the zone. Then I'm on the couch. Anyway, park on an automatic transmission is just a little pin that holds the drive shaft still. It's not actually like a real brake. So imagine trying to shove a peg into a moving hole. That ain't gonna work. Things will break. Moving on, quit coasting in neutral unless you want to overheat and get arrested. Oh, yeah, you heard that right. In some states, believe it or not only is it bad for your transmission to coast downhill in neutral, it's straight up illegal. Check out our video up here if you're guilty of that. And then you see the red and blues in your mirror. I'm honestly not sure how anyone would enforce that. I mean, I certainly can't tell if you're in neutral or you're not. But here's the other reason not to. First, you don't get to take advantage of engine braking. But mainly, you lose one of the ways that you can control your vehicle. While you're in neutral, you can't accelerate, meaning you can't get out of dodge if you need to, which is also the reason you shouldn't drop it into neutral at a stoplight. Yeah, it kind of seems like it would be better on the transmission if you disengaged it at a stoplight, but the truth is, it's actually worse. Again, automatics, they don't work like manuals. When you shift into neutral, you aren't really fully disengaging the engine. You might actually be stopping all the important fluids from circulating. Your car's automatic transmission is literally designed to disengage when you're at a stop. It does it for you. You don't have to do anything except stay on the brake. That's your only job. And again, when the light goes from red to green, which is my favorite part of the day, you need to be able to move. And you can't do that if you're in neutral for some reason. Trust me, you don't want to be the person in front of me at a stoplight that causes me to miss the light since you're messing around with your transmission that doesn't need to be messed around with. Believe it or not, I've been known to think very unkind things about people that sit too long at stoplights. This is, of course, assuming that your transmission is working correctly, which it won't if you don't maintain the fluid. Your automatic car has special oil just for the transmission. Tina has special oil in her transmission, and it's conveniently called automatic transmission fluid, or ATF, and it prevents your transmission from becoming a grenade. I mean, more or less, it lubes the gears and keeps everything cool, kind of like my personality. The thing is that lots of people are pretty good at checking the engine oil, but forget to check if the transmission's happy. Usually you check the ATF while the car is running, check your manual, and just make sure the reservoir is topped up and it's in good condition. Look, if you just follow the maintenance schedule for your ride, you should be good. It's just something to be aware of. And we've been talking a lot about stuff that you shouldn't do, but let's talk about something that you should do other than subscribe and turn on the notification bell if you're new. And that is using your parking brake. Yes, this puppy right here, which I didn't engage, but I should have. Because like I said before, the park setting on your automatic transmission, well, it's not the strongest thing in the world. It's just a little peg that keeps the gears from moving, and therefore your car from moving. And you know what's way better at keeping your car parked? You guessed it, your brakes. Not only do they hold better, but they are way easier to replace when they wear out. Seriously, think about it. Would you rather remove the transmission from your car or tighten a single cable? I might not be an engineer, but one of those things sounds way easier and a whole lot cheaper. So I know which one I'd choose. And going back to things that you should never do, but this time it's something that you should never do when you're not in your car. And that's tow an automatic with the drive wheels on the pavement. The thing is, even in neutral, the automatic transmission is still engaged, meaning the parts still spin around. But when the engine is off, there's no fluid circulating, and therefore everything isn't staying cool and lubricated. So if you tow a vehicle, even in neutral, that has an automatic transmission, you risk overheating the transmission if the drive wheels are on the ground. Now, this isn't true for all makes and models though. Some models do fully disengage the driveline when in neutral, and you should be fine for very short distances. However, flat towing your auto across the US is a great way to start forest fires, and Smokey is done putting out forest fires. So, do it right. Get a tow dolly or trailer and disconnect the drive shaft from the transmission when necessary, AKA hire a professional. Or you could be like your good friend, me, Mr. Brad Danger, and get an honorable mention, baby. By which, I mean our best-selling ideal tee is the Save the Manuals, so you can also get a vinyl sticker or something for your ride, like this one right here. And that can go on an automatic or a manual. And I think that life's too short to mess around with an automatic. I like the engagement in rowing my own gears and being the boss of a transmission instead of letting the computer do the work. Honestly, for real, from me to you, automatics, they aren't bad, but come on, this is our brand. We should not tell you that you should have an automatic. If we're being realistic and we're talking about the new Corvette or whatever, you're gonna get stuck with an automatic. And I totally get you, but for the love of God, don't drive with both feet. I mean, it sounds right on paper, right? You have gas and you have brake. You have two pedals. And you have not one, but two left feet. Well, at least I do on the dance floor. So, one pedal per foot. Makes sense. But don't do that. Not only will it make it nearly impossible to learn manual, where you have three pedals, but there's this very real risk of accidentally slamming on the brakes and the gas at the exact same time. You remember those Priuses or Prii that caused all the problems when they were slammed into walls and junk? Those weren't just me trying to get rid of the Prius menace. Toyota blamed a faulty sensor or something, but the truth is that it happens all the time when a panicked driver stomps on both pedals and goes forward instead of coming to a stop like they planned on. So instead, learn to drive with one foot. Should be your right foot. Does anybody use their left foot to drive? Let us know in the comments. And that's so your instinct is to step on the brake, and only the brake. Got it? Cool. And that's the end of this video. Did you find it helpful? Are you guilty of number 7? And what's your favorite vehicle with an auto? Is it the new BMW Supra, or the Corvette, or a 5.7 Camaro? Let me know in the comments below. This has been Ideal. I hope that you're having an ideal day, and say it with me. As always, keep living the ideal lifestyle.